To say that Shyam Nokta loves Guyana's natural wonders would be an understatement. He is an environmental consultant who has been a steward for some of his country's most important protected areas, including the world-famous Kaicha Falls. He is one of 5 exceptional Caribbean nationals to receive the 2022 Anthony N. Sabga Awards Caribbean Excellence. This is Shyam's story.
Every time I come to Kaichur, for many, many years, it always excites me walking down this path and hearing the sound of the falls. I think the key message to my son and also young Guyanese is appreciation. We have to appreciate what we have as a country, our forests, our rivers, biodiversity, but also our cultural heritage. I'm someone who is passionate about the environment, but also an entrepreneur, a businessman, working in this field, providing environmental services. What we do in Guyana, working with governments, with NGOs, with multilateral financial institutions, with the private sector, and the issues we help them to address are issues that are also represented across our region. And more, as we look at the environment, the issues we face, they're not only localized or within one country, but they're regional and international. My interest in the environment started at a very young age. As a young child growing up in Ogle, and along with my friends in the village, we used to venture out into the sugarcane fields, into the back dam, and it was fun because as kids we were swimming in the trenches. We were essentially not only playing, but understanding a little bit about what's in that environment. The trees, the animals, the birds, and in that way too, learning a little bit about these species, how they interact with man, but also the impacts that we were having on these species too.
In July 2022, Shyam took his family and our film crew to one of the most powerful waterfalls in the world, a 45-minute flight into Guyana's vast forested interior.
This is the interpretation center, and the park warden will reach us here, and then we'll go on this tour.
Kaicha is special to Shyam because he chaired the board of the legally protected Kaicha National Park for 7 years, between 2004 and 2011.
Our job essentially was to ensure that we can manage these 2 objectives, promoting Kaichur for tourism development, but at the same time safeguarding this area for conservation.
Hi, Shyam. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
This is my wife, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hi, Shane. Get some big smiles in. Perfect. Cabbage head vermilion. Okay.
This is our national treasure,
Absolutely.
but it's also an international treasure because of the beauty, not only of the falls, but this entire park, the biodiversity, the
Definitely.
flora, the fauna.
Yeah.
So Shane, you hear that? That's the sound of the falls. Now every time I come to Kaieteur, for many, many years, it always excites me walking down this path and hearing the sound of the falls. Even today, I still recall the very first time I came to Kaieteur. So I'm as excited as you are today.
Shyam was in the first cohort of Guyanese students to be trained in environmental studies at the University of Guyana. He then went on to a Master's in Environmental Assessment in the UK. When he returned to Guyana, he worked on environmental projects in the interior, always keeping an eye out for an opportunity in business.
After many years of accumulating experience, I also recognized the opportunity to be able to offer a service in Guyana that in the early stages was primarily being met by foreign consultants. That was the basis for me to look at how I could start a business that is providing environmental services.
And so he founded Environmental Management Consultants. The boom in Guyana's energy sector means that his services are in high demand by companies that want to be environmentally responsible. Annette Arjun Martins is a passionate turtle conservationist who has long relied on Shyam's environmental expertise and formal education.
I always think of myself as the heart of the Guyana Marine Turtle Conservation Society. I'm half indigenous and having spent the early part of my life in the hinterland and really, becoming a grassroots conservationist. Here was Shyam Nokta, a young professional at Abercrombie, who had actually gotten his degree in environmental science in Oxford University in England, that came on board, and it was very, very apparent in a very early period of the Guyana Marine Turtle Conservation Society that he would become its brain.
So Shane, Kaieteur Falls, how does it look?
It looks cool.
Amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Millions and millions of gallons of water. And that's where old Kai came over in his canoe.
A lot of what I learned formally in the early days was because of him. And what's really special about Shyam is he's so bright, but he has absolutely no qualms about sharing his knowledge. That is a very rare thing, even in our conservation field, where sometimes you have turf issues and ego issues. Shyam has none of that.
Shane had a fun day yesterday. First trip to Kaieteur. He was excited about the Kaieteur Falls and the trail. I am who I am today because of my parents and how they brought me up, what they taught me, the exposure and the experiences they provided for me. But I was telling him the first time I went to Abercrombie and we saw Sankar. Sankar is the big caiman that lives nearby. My mom in particular was someone who instilled discipline, diligence, courtesy, and importantly, being humble. But now in that Laureate Creek, there's a lot of wildlife.
You used to get a lot of fish.
My dad, as an active politician, he spent quite a bit of time traveling across Guyana, interacting with communities in the hinterland and on the coast. And sometimes he would take me on some of his visits. That provided me with a really unique opportunity at an early age to meet people but also to be able to see Guyana, to see different parts of the country. Yeah, today we got some good weather today on the river. Good weather to head up and see the islands. Unfortunately, we won't get to Hog Island today, but Fort Island, Saxicali. And you haven't been back to Hog Island in a while, have you?
Yes, about a couple of years now. I retired, so I'm not traveling as I used to be. Worry? Any fish?
Not today.
Not today. Oh.
Traveling to the interior of Guyana is expensive. Either you fly, as we did with Shyam, or you drive for 6 or 7 hours along sometimes impassable roads. So, Shyam started talking with his well-traveled father about what could be done to give people easier access to the deep forest.
I started a conversation with my dad one day whether there were areas that are closer that might offer similar opportunities, the opportunities to experience the rainforest, to meet indigenous communities, to be able to see our waterways, creeks, rivers, and to experience biodiversity.
What Shyam and his father came up with was the Saxicali Rainforest Center, a spot on the Essequibo River, closer to Georgetown than other forest reserves, yet still part of the Amazon basin. It was a spot that they developed over many years, surrounded by jungle and all the wildlife you could hope for.
So we got some interesting pictures here, Amir.
It's an ocelot.
An ocelot. So this location next to the creek is very strategic. It means that it's a high traffic area for a lot of wildlife.
This is the wild hogs.
Wild hogs. Wow.
This is the puma.
Puma.
See, huge.
At this point in time, it's really a facility that I would like to continue to promote, to give those who are interested in nature, and especially young people, the opportunity to visit the rainforest, to go for maybe a walk on a trail in the rainforest, to experience the Essequibo River, and to have that experience that I had as a young kid growing up. This award, for me, is very humbling. Of course, it's a recognition of many things that I've been involved in. Of course, entrepreneurship in this environmental space, but entrepreneurship in environmental services and what we do as EMC, providing service to our clients, promoting green growth.
Shyam has worked closely with Guyana's presidents, past and present, on the country's low-carbon development strategy. He believes there is a strong political commitment to conservation and sound environmental management, which is the space he inhabits as both entrepreneur and environmentalist.
In recent years, we have started to explore and now to utilize our resources, our oil and gas resources. This presents an opportunity for Guyana as a country to grow economically, to perhaps grow faster than any period in our history with the revenues that we can gain from oil and gas. But at the same time, it also presents an opportunity for us to advance our efforts at securing our natural assets.
People who are committed to the environment in the truest sense can never be co-opted. Shyam is one of those people. And I think that the clients that he has are equally clients that see the benefits of doing, oil and gas development in an environmentally responsible manner. And they could not want a better steward than Shyam to take them and guide them through that process.
Over 80% of Guyana is still forested, and the country claims one of the lowest deforestation rates in the world. Shyam's early environmental work, after completing his master's, was at the Iwokrama Wilderness Preserve in the heart of the rainforest.
Michael, good to see you. It's been a long time. Thank you. Thank you.
At Iwokrama, he helped set up a ranger training program, training both indigenous and non-indigenous Guyanese to be stewards of the rich biodiversity around them.
You know, I still remember the times we had on this river. The ranger training course. Remember the canoe course?
The canoe course was exciting.
So for me, the opportunity to be part of what I would consider a world-class training program, helping to coordinate and implement it, but also learning in the process too, and being a trainee in the process too. It provided not only the opportunity to develop new skills, but to interact with experts from Guyana, from the Caribbean, and further afield, but as well the opportunity to interact with local people and to benefit from their local knowledge and their experience.
I had to paddle down the Kupukari, paddling through the rapids, coming through you, your partner.
Yes, but the best part is the evaluation. And to pass that course,
Right.
you had to make it over the Kupukari rapids
Yes,
without capsizing.
Right.
I know several people had to make several attempts. I don't think you were one of them though.
But there was a time before his work at Iwokrama when Shyam thought that he would end up in academia or the public service.
So I had to make a very strategic decision. Pursue a PhD or go the route of entrepreneurship, setting up a small business and exploring what the possibilities could be. 20 years on, I have no regrets. I am very comfortable with the choices I made then.
In today's context, where globally businesses are recognizing that it's not a choice anymore, that to decide whether you want to be environmentally responsible or not, Shyam is just at the perfect place at the perfect time.
So I think this award presents me with a unique opportunity to be able to share some of our experiences, the lessons that we've learned at a regional level. For too long, when we think about the environment, it's always governments that are expected to take the lead or non-governmental organizations. But if we're going to succeed, we have to involve everyone, and the private sector has a critical role to play. My message to Shane and to young Guyanese is really one of appreciation. But appreciation comes from understanding. And Guyana is unique in so many ways. But when we look at our natural heritage, the range of ecosystems from the coast right through to the hinterland, our forests, savannas, wetlands, the high levels of biodiversity that we have, but also our cultural heritage. Carl, it's good to be here after a little while, but I've noticed that you guys have been able to maintain these trails to ensure that you're not expanding. And you know, it's so important for us to do that. The vegetation at Kaitshur Top is so unique, so many endemic species. So for young people, understanding this and having an appreciation is very important for our country, because they are the leaders of tomorrow and they are going to be the next stewards for the environment.
Shyam received his Caribbean Excellence Cash Award and Gold Medal at a black tie event in Guyana in August before an audience that included Guyana's president. He started his remarks by thanking two people who shaped his life and career.
My mom could not be here today, but my dad is with us. The person I am and much of what I have achieved has been due to them. From an early age, they instilled in me life principles of respect, hard work, diligence, and humility. While my mom kept me on the straight and narrow path and focused on the academics, it was my dad who introduced me to nature and the environment, taking me on many of his trips across Guyana into the hinterland. And no doubt that would have aroused that passion for the environment, which still burns in me.
Shyam and I share a very, very close relationship. What I can say about Shyam is that he is very selfless. There are some things about him that no one would know, but Shyam could have assumed many things. But he sees himself as a contributor to society, someone who is gifted with a specific passion that must be shared with people. And he has done that selflessly. Those of who share a friendship with him knows that he values his friendship. Those are attributes of excellence that you must find. He values people's effort. He's very respectful. He's very calculative. Very, very calculative. Now, some people will say calculative people are very deadly. They calculate the exact point to strike. That's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All fair. But he's calculative in a very good way. When he speaks, it's precise and to a particular point. So I am very pleased that I can be a dysfunction to honor our sister from Suriname and to honor not only a citizen of Guyana, but someone who I have the great privilege of referring to as my friend. I have had the opportunity to make a career and a successful business working in an area that I'm passionate about, the environment. Today, EMC as a company has grown perhaps well beyond what I first envisaged. And much of that has to do with the team of people that have worked together to ensure that we continue to grow and to expand. And today I'd like to recognize two of those persons, Mr. Khalid Aladdin and Ms. Sharmati Ramnath, who have been with me on this journey for over 10 plus years. The work that we do, providing environmental services, promoting green growth, is relevant to Guyana, but also the wider Caribbean. Today, as we look at how our countries are approaching development, the different issues that we have to grapple with on the development agenda, but at the same time, how we prepare ourselves for certain global challenges, such as climate change. It requires us to all work together. And importantly, too, there is a growing recognition that the private sector has an important role to play in all of these critical areas.
Mr. Nokta has successfully created a business in protecting the magnificent natural heritage of Guyana. His business, Environmental Management Consultants Limited, has instilled care and passion for the environment, a resolve often lacking within energy-rich nations. His efforts ensure that as the country progresses, nature's beauty will be preserved for years and for generations to come.